All right, so today we're going to be looking at this news about Tesla.
Okay.
You sent over this article from The Street, and it's dated March 10th, 2025.
hmm
Top analyst reworks Tesla's stock price target amid global sales slump.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot to dig into here.
Yeah, there is. It's certainly a shift in how people have been thinking and talking about Tesla for quite some time. They've
Yeah.
enjoyed such a period of incredible growth for so long that it's almost surprising to see them having to grapple with these challenges now.
Yeah, and the article highlights a 25% drop in Tesla's stock price just in the first 2 months of 2025.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. And to put that into perspective, it's over $700 billion in market value since their peak in December 2024.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a massive decline.
It's not just sort of a blip on the radar. This is tied to some pretty fundamental changes that are happening both within Tesla and in the broader market.
So the article starts off by talking about a sales slump, and the numbers are pretty dramatic. European registrations are down significantly.
Yeah.
76% down in Germany,
Wow.
55% in Italy, and nearly 50% in Sweden.
It's particularly striking in Europe,
Yeah.
where Tesla was once seen as really a leader in the EV market.
Yeah.
There's speculation that, Elon Musk's political activities might be playing a role here, particularly among European consumers who seem to really prioritize things like, social responsibility and environmental consciousness.
Yeah, and it does make you wonder if for some consumers, Tesla's brand is becoming too closely linked with Elon Musk's personal brand.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a complex situation because in the past, Musk's outspoken personality and vision were really seen as assets.
Right.
They were driving excitement and innovation.
Uh-huh.
But as his political stances have become more prominent, it seems that they might be alienating a certain segment of Tesla's customer base, particularly in regions like Europe where those values are so important.
And it's not just Europe feeling the impact. The article also mentions a 49% drop in Tesla's sales in China during February.
Yeah, China is a crucial market for any automaker. And this decline highlights how the actions of a CEO can have ripple effects
Right.
on a company's global standing. And meanwhile, domestic Chinese EV makers are seeing an uptick in sales during the same period.
So it's almost like Tesla is losing ground on two fronts. Like they're dealing with this potential image issue in Europe while also facing fierce competition in a key growth market like China.
That's right. And to add another layer to this, you have the Tesla takedown protests that were happening over the weekend.
Right.
In major U.S. cities, these protests were targeting Musk's role in government cost-cutting that led to federal employee layoffs.
Yeah.
So it's this stark reminder that a CEO's political actions can have very real consequences for their business.
Right.
It goes beyond just policy debates. It can directly impact how consumers perceive and engage with the brand.
Okay, so we've got a slump in sales potentially linked to Musk's political image and protests highlighting the complexities of a CEO's personal brand influencing a company. But what about the financial analysts?
Yeah.
Are they seeing these same warning signs?
They are. The article highlights UBS analyst Joseph Spack, who recently lowered Tesla's price target.
Okay.
And he cites softening demand as a key factor. And he's pointing to data from the UBS Evidence Lab.
So let's dive into that data. What's he seeing that's making him worried?
One of the key pieces of evidence is this shortening delivery wait times for the Model 3 and Model Y.
Right.
Traditionally, long wait times have been a sign of strong demand.
Right.
Customers are eager to get their hands on the latest Tesla.
Right.
But now those wait times are shrinking.
So is he suggesting that people just aren't as interested in buying Teslas anymore?
Well, it's not quite that simple. There
Yeah.
could be other factors at play. Perhaps Tesla has streamlined its production process,
Right.
leading to these faster delivery times.
Yeah, it's not always a straightforward equation.
Right. Or maybe they've ramped up production in anticipation of future demand, so it's hard to say for certain.
Right.
But it does seem like Spock is interpreting this as a sign that demand might be cooling down, at least compared to the incredible growth Tesla has seen in the past.
Okay, so Spock sees potential signs of softening demand, but he must be looking at other factors as well, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, analysts don't make these big predictions based on one data point.
No, they don't. He also digs into Tesla's delivery and profit predictions.
Okay.
And those numbers aren't exactly painting a rosy picture.
Here's where it gets interesting. Give us the rundown on his predictions. What's he forecasting for Tesla in the coming months?
So he predicts that Tesla's first quarter deliveries could drop by a significant 26% compared to the previous quarter.
Wow.
And even more concerning, he's forecasting a 5% decline year over year.
A year-over-year decline.
Yeah.
That would be a first for Tesla, wouldn't it?
That's right. They've consistently delivered growth quarter after quarter, year after year.
Yep.
So this prediction is significant.
Mm-hmm.
It suggests a potential turning point for the company.
Uh-huh.
If Tesla does experience its first year-over-year decline in deliveries, it raises some serious questions about their ability to maintain their dominant position
Right.
in the EV market.
And it's not just the first quarter that's causing concern. He's also adjusted his 2025 delivery forecast, right? What's his outlook for the full year?
So he's predicting around 1.7 million units delivered in 2025,
Okay.
which is actually a 5% decline compared to 2024,
Wow.
which is far below what most analysts were expecting.
Right.
Wall Street was anticipating continued growth, not a contraction.
So we've got slumping sales, possibly tied to Musk's political image, and now an analyst is predicting a potential decline in deliveries for the first time in Tesla's history.
Yeah.
It does feel like there's a shift happening, like maybe Tesla's losing some of its momentum.
It's definitely a challenging period for the company they're facing.
Sure.
This confluence of factors that are putting pressure on their sales, their brand image, and their overall market position.
But Tesla is known for its innovation, its ability to disrupt the status quo.
Yeah.
Surely they have some tricks up their sleeves, some way to address these challenges and regain their footing.
That's the big question, isn't it? How will Tesla respond?
Right.
Will they double down on their current strategy, or will they pivot in a new direction?
Yeah.
The next few months will be very telling.
Well, dear listener, buckle up because we're about to explore one of Tesla's potential strategies, their plan to launch a lower-cost vehicle.
Okay.
But could this move be more of a gamble than a sure thing?
Right.
We'll dig into that right after this. Okay, so we've talked about some of the headwinds that Tesla is facing, but let's shift gears a little bit and talk about their strategy going forward.
Okay.
The article mentions Tesla's upcoming lower-cost vehicle, and Spock seems to have some reservations about it.
Yeah, it's a move that makes sense on the surface.
Mhm.
You know, Tesla has always aimed to make electric vehicles more accessible.
Right.
And a lower price model could attract a whole new segment of buyers who were previously priced out of the Tesla market.
Right. It seems like a natural progression, almost like completing their product lineup.
Yeah.
But what are Spock's concerns specifically?
He's worried about two things: cannibalization and profit margins.
Okay.
You know, he suggests that this lower cost vehicle might actually end up competing with Tesla's existing Model 3 and Model Y.
So instead of attracting new customers, they might just end up stealing customers from themselves.
Exactly. If the lower cost model is seen as a good enough alternative existing Tesla customers might choose to downgrade,
Mm-hmm.
impacting sales of the higher margin Model 3 and Y.
That makes sense. And what about his concerns regarding profit margins?
Well, if Tesla's selling this new vehicle at a lower price point,
Right.
they'll need to sell a significantly higher volume to make up for the lower profit per unit.
It's a classic volume versus margin trade-off.
Yeah.
And in a market where demand seems to be softening, as Spec suggests, hitting those volume targets could be a challenge.
Precisely. It's a gamble.
Yeah.
You know, this lower cost vehicle could be a brilliant move, expanding Tesla's market reach, solidifying its position
Right.
as the leading EV maker. But it could also backfire,
Right.
putting further pressure on their profit margins and potentially even cannibalizing sales of their more established models.
It highlights the delicate balance that Tesla needs to strike
Yeah.
as it navigates this new phase of its growth. You know, they need to innovate and evolve
Yeah.
while also protecting their core business.
That's right.
This entire deep dive has been a bit of a roller coaster. You know,
Yeah.
Tesla, a company that seemed almost invincible just a few months ago,
Right.
is suddenly facing a whole new set of challenges.
It's a reminder that no company, no matter how innovative or successful, is immune to these market forces,
Mhm.
you know, shifts in consumer sentiment, and even the actions of its own CEO.
So as we wrap up our analysis of this article, what key takeaways should our listener keep in mind?
Well, first and foremost, it seems clear that Tesla is at a crossroads.
Okay.
They're facing declining sales in key markets like Europe and China, potentially linked to a shift in consumer perception,
Uh-huh.
influenced by Elon Musk's political activities.
And on top of that, they're grappling with this potential softening of demand, shorter delivery wait times, and concerns about their profit margins, particularly with this upcoming launch of their lower-cost vehicle.
It's a complex situation with no easy answers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Tesla needs to carefully consider its next steps,
All right.
balancing the need for growth and innovation with the importance of maintaining its brand identity and financial stability.
What's fascinating here is how this situation highlights the interconnectedness of business politics and consumer behavior.
Right.
It's a reminder that every decision a company makes, from product development to CEO actions, can have ripple effects
Yeah,
across various aspects of its operations.
absolutely. And for a company like Tesla, which has always pushed boundaries and disrupted the status quo,
Right.
this period of uncertainty could be a defining moment.
Yeah.
It's a chance for them to reassess their strategy, adapt to these changing market dynamics, and potentially emerge even stronger.
It's almost like they're back in startup mode facing a new set of challenges
Yeah.
that require creative solutions and a willingness to take calculated risks.
It'll be fascinating to see how Tesla responds to these challenges.
Right.
Will they double down on their current strategy, or will they pivot in a new direction? Only time will tell.
And that brings us to the most important part of this deep dive. You, our listener.
Yes.
We've explored the information you've provided,
Mm-hmm.
but now we want to turn it over to you. What are your thoughts on all of this?
We've analyzed the situation from various angles, but ultimately it's your perspective that matters most. How do you interpret these challenges facing Tesla?
Yeah.
Do you see them as temporary setbacks or signs of deeper trouble?
What stands out to you from this information, and perhaps more importantly, what questions does it raise for you?
Take a moment to reflect on what you've heard. Consider the interplay of factors at play here.
Right.
The market trends, consumer behavior, Tesla's strategic decisions, and the role of Elon Musk himself.
We encourage you to go beyond simply absorbing the information and engage with it actively. Challenge the assumptions, consider alternative perspectives, and formulate your own conclusions.
Because ultimately, the most valuable takeaway from any deep dive isn't a set of definitive answers,
Right.
but a sharpened sense of curiosity and a framework for critical thinking.
And to help you delve even deeper, let's shift from analysis to strategy.
Okay.
Imagine you're sitting across from Elon Musk, advising him on how to navigate the storm.
Oh, interesting.
What steps would you recommend?
Think about Tesla's various challenges. What would you prioritize to get them back on track?
Right.
Consider their product strategy, their marketing and branding, their global presence, and yes, even the potential impact of Musk's personal brand.
It's a complex puzzle with no easy answers, but that's what makes it so compelling.
Right.
By putting yourself in the shoes of a decision maker, you can gain a deeper understanding of the complexities involved.
And who knows, maybe your insights will spark new ideas and perspectives that haven't even been considered yet.
All right, so we've given you a lot to think about, but remember, this is just the beginning. The story of Tesla is far from over.
That's right.
The future of this once dominant EV maker remains to be written, and we're eager to see what unfolds.
So stay curious, keep exploring, and keep those deep thinking caps on. You never know what surprising twists and turns lie ahead.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us. You know, it's interesting to think about how Tesla's success was in part due to their ability to create this massive demand for electric vehicles. And now they're facing a market that's much more crowded and competitive than when they first sort of burst onto the scene.
Yeah, it's a classic example of how innovation can disrupt an industry.
Mm-hmm.
But that disruption often leads to new challenges.
Right.
You know, Tesla essentially paved the way for other automakers to enter the EV market.
Right, yeah.
And now they're facing the consequences of that success.
They're not the scrappy underdog anymore.
Right.
They're the established player, and the target is on their back.
Exactly. And that means they need to adapt their strategies. They can't rely on the same playbook
Right.
that worked for them 5 or 10 years ago.
The article didn't really touch on the competition, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Okay.
Who are the major players that Tesla needs to be watching out for right now?
Well, you've got the traditional automakers like Volkswagen, General Motors, and Ford,
Mm-hmm.
all of whom are investing heavily in electric vehicles.
Right.
They're leveraging their existing manufacturing capabilities, their vast dealer networks, and their brand recognition
Right.
to capture market share.
So Tesla's no longer just competing with other startups.
Right.
They're going head-to-head with some of the biggest and most established companies in the world.
That's right. And then you have the emerging Chinese EV makers like BYD and NIO,
Mm-hmm.
who are making significant inroads, particularly in their home market.
Right.
They're offering competitive products, often at more affordable price points.
It's a multi-front battle for Tesla.
It is.
They need to fend off the advances of both the old guard and this new wave of competitors.
Right.
And they need to do it while also addressing these internal challenges that we've been discussing.
Yeah.
You know, the softening demand, the potential impact of Musk's political activities,
Yeah.
and the need to maintain healthy profit margins.
It's a lot to juggle.
I imagine Elon Musk has some sleepless nights ahead of him.
Well, he's certainly not one to shy away from a challenge. In fact, he seems to thrive on them.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how he and his team navigate this new landscape.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with one final thought. We've talked a lot about the challenges Tesla is facing,
Right.
but it's important to remember that they're still a company with incredible potential.
Absolutely. They have a strong brand, a loyal customer base, and a track record of innovation.
Mm-hmm.
They were the pioneers who brought electric vehicles into the mainstream.
Uh-huh.
And they've shown a remarkable ability to adapt and overcome obstacles in the past.
It's not a foregone conclusion that Tesla is headed for a downfall. This could be a period of transition,
Right.
a time for them to regroup, reassess, and ultimately emerge stronger than ever.
And that's the beauty of the business world. It's constantly evolving. And even the most successful companies need to be willing to change and adapt
Yeah.
in order to thrive. The next chapter for Tesla is yet to be written.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to be fascinating to watch it unfold.
Well said. We've explored the challenges, the potential pitfalls, and the glimmers of opportunity.
Yeah.
Now it's up to you, dear listener, to form your own conclusions. What do you think the future holds for Tesla?
Do you see them regaining their dominant position? Or will they succumb to the pressures they're facing? And most importantly, what lessons can we learn from their journey?
We encourage you to keep these questions in mind as you continue to follow Tesla's story. Stay curious, stay engaged, and never stop exploring the complexities of the business world.
Hear, hear.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.